Welcome back to Kevin's Trooper channel. This is the channel where we do all types of DIY projects for overlanding and off-roading. It's Tuesday today, and normally that would be a work day for me, but we're in South Louisiana, and this week is Mardi Gras, so it's actually Fat Tuesday. What that means is all the businesses are closed, all the schools are closed, everybody's going to parades and drinking and partying and having a good time, and I thought I would come out to the garage and do a little bit of welding. I need some sort of a holder for my gun or my torch. I don't ever have anywhere to sit my torch after I do a cutting project or where to sit my MIG gun. So I want some kind of a holder where I could put my gun whenever I'm finished, because I end up laying it over my workpiece and that metal is sharp and it's not good for the hoses. So I need somewhere I could attach that. So we're gonna design and build that today, coming up. So here's what I had planned. I have this old rotor that has a lot of weight to it. And I have this rear link from when I changed my rear links on the Trooper. What I thought I would do is mount this together, and this is almost the perfect height to have my gun and torch rest. And I'm gonna start by taking all the rust off the rotor, and then I'm gonna try to get some of the paint off of this forelink because it is pretty heavy paint. And I don't want to breathe that in whenever I start welding. So I'm going to try to get as much paint off of this as possible, so whenever I go to weld it, we won't have a lot of smoke. Look how pretty that's turning out. Ha ha ha. I was just thinking about what I might do. Instead of cutting this off at the end of the pipe here, I might actually cut this halfway from this area where the bushing is, which would give me two flat spots right here that I could begin to weld to. Instead of having to try to get this round piece perfectly level, I could just cut two even lines in that and leave kind of like a half moon on the bottom, a half circle on the bottom that it sets against. I think I'm going to try that first. So let me get this changed out to a cutting wheel. Always unplug your grinder when you go to change it. I think that should be kind of go without saying, but I've seen a lot of people do it. Man, running that grinder one-handed really hurts my forearm. I was looking up the other day some injuries from this grinding wheel coming apart. I was looking at some pictures. Devastating, horrific injuries. People with half these blades sticking out of their face, through their eye. Terrible, terrible injuries. So always keep the guard on and stay out of the line of sight of this wheel whenever you are cutting. Oh yeah! That came right out of there. That's going to work out great. Might as well do the same thing to this end while I've got it here. Alright, that's going to set just like this, and I'll design some kind of a thing to hold my MIG gun right there. I think that's going to work out great. And I can just move it around as I need. Awesome. I can't believe I started that without my safety glasses on. These are so clear. These Jackson safeties are so comfortable and so clear I couldn't even remember I had them on, or I took them off. Now here's the next thing I'm thinking about. I need something to cap this off right here where it will be flat. I wish I had a piece of metal big enough that I could go all the way around the outside, but I do not. That's the last piece of plate that I have, and it's not quite big enough. So I am, if you'll see, able to cut a piece this big if I trace that around. And that way I can at least put it like this. It won't be all the way to the outside, but I can weld that up pretty good there. So I'm going to trace around this and get the plasma hooked up, and then we'll weld it to this. I'm going to look through my drop pile and just make absolutely sure I don't have something that can fit all the way around those holes too, but I don't think I do. I got to patch my welding glove up before I get started. If you guys saw my last video where I was making a dimple die, I hit my hand with my plasma cutter. It was scary. I didn't know if I was gonna be burned down to the bone and like not have I already have a stub there. I didn't know if I was gonna be burned down to the bone or if it would just barely caught me. And I pulled my hand out, my finger was black. My nub was black. So I ran into the house and I started washing it, and it was okay. It just barely burned it. It didn't even blister it, but it burned a hole in my glove. This glove saved me. But I don't want to begin work with that hole in there. I'm going to tape it up before we get started here. That was a scary thing. So I'm just going to put just a little bit of black tape over it. I'm doing some research right now, guys, on the best welding gloves to get. I'm going to get another pair. Actually, I'm going to get a couple pair. Since I have a stick machine coming, and I'm going to be able to stick welding gloves are generally thicker than MIG welding gloves because you don't get quite the heat on your hands as you do stick welding. So generally, as a general rule, stick welding gloves are a little thicker, MIG welding gloves are even a little bit smaller, and then of course TIG is even smaller than that. Thinner, more able to feel with. And so I'm doing some research right now on the best affordable welding gloves that I can get, and I'm probably going to get a pair of stick gloves and then a thinner pair for when I'm just doing plasma and some light MIG. And I'll let you guys know what I come up with. I'm just researching it now. I've got several things I'm looking into, but I'll let you know what I come up with. But yeah, this finger doesn't need any more abuse. Now I'm just going to trace this out. I'm definitely getting used to the plasma cutter. I didn't have any problems at all that time. I got through the entire thing, first try, no problems. Well, I didn't get that much of a circle though. Oh well, that's what grinders are for. That was an amateur mistake, and I didn't tack it on both sides first. So now I got to give it a little pressure on this side to get back on here. Well, I was able to finally get that welded, but it wasn't very easy. My welder kept blowing the breaker. That's a 110 20 amp circuit that welder is plugged into, and it's just dedicated just to the welder. But honestly, it still blows the breaker sometimes. You know, if you want to get serious about welding, you're really better off running these machines off of a 220 volt, because at 110 20 amp, it really pushes any machine to be able to weld metal. None of them work perfect. Yeah, you can do some little odds and end jobs off of a 110, and if you need to go mobile and bring it to somebody's house and patch up something that they're paying you for, or to do somebody a favor, it's nice having the 110. I'm not going to sell this welder. I'm going to keep it for that reason, but I'm very glad that I'm getting a dedicated 220 welder where I don't have to deal with blowing this breaker anymore. I can just plug it in, crank it up, and weld. Trying to do something like this on a 110 volt is not real easy sometimes. The breaker still blows. Even though it's dedicated 20 amp, just like the directions said, it still blows sometimes. So what happened, because I pulled an amateur move and didn't tack this all the way around before I started welding it, it rose up on one side as I started putting heat to the other side. I should know better than that. That's basic welding 101. I just got in a hurry and didn't think about it. So what I'm having to do now is I'm having to grind a little bit of this other side down just to get this part level. I got the brake rotor level. I just want to get this piece on the top as level as I can. There we go. I want to get a mill one day soon where I can mill stuff flat. I could stick this in a mill and just smooth that perfectly flat if I wanted to. Well, that is pretty close right there, guys. See, this is why I need a holder for this. I got nowhere to put it. So I've got my little stabilization pieces cut, my little diagonal stabilization pieces, and these are going to go right like that. And my welder's on until it blows the breaker again. And right about there looks good. All right, buddy, don't look at the arc, okay?
Okay.
Alright, now we're going to try to make our other one match as closely as possible. Should be right about there. Alright, don't look at the arc. I need something It's going to be able to sit like this and hold this gun. And I don't even know what my other MIG gun is really going to look like. So now I'm thinking if I just come up with a piece, of metal like this, no matter what the torch is, it'll still hold it. You know, no matter what the MIG gun or whatever it looks like, I can just put it in there and let it fall like that. I think that's going to be the best thing to do, bud, is just make that about like that. No matter what the shape of the gun is, it'll always go in there. And I can even cut like some kind of like padding or something like that and put in there so that it'll be real soft on it. And then anything that's in there is going to want to fall backwards and catch on this. I like it. All right, I'm gonna spend some time grinding it down, cleaning it up. My welder gave me hell today. Kept blowing the breaker, it wouldn't weld. I don't know, so I'm gonna try to clean up a little bit, sand it up, and get it ready for a little touch of paint. All right, I'm gonna wipe this thing down with a little acetone. And then we're gonna put some paint on it. Guys, I'm here just putting everything away for the day, and I wanted to show y'all how nice these Protocol sawhorses that I work off of. They are rock steady. They do not move. You know, most of these sawhorses like this, you go to work on them and they're real unsteady. They shake a lot. These things are amazing. And then whenever it's time to put them away, you'll fold this leg and it'll lock in the bottom. And then you will fold this one and it locks right on top of it. And it has these push button retainers to where when this snaps into place, it can't come out. And then when you go to open them, you just push this and then it pops right out. They have a little handle on top that you can carry them by. These things are super nice. I've been so happy with these. They seem to be holding up great. I'll link these in the description for you guys if you want to take a look at them. They're called Protocol. Well, here we go. It's all dry, and the last step was I had a little bit of this rubber. I actually bought this rubber lining to go in the bottom of my toolbox. So I just cut a little piece off, so that it would cushion my guns and not scratch them up whenever I put them in there. That turned out really, really nice. Well, that's it, guys. Another welding project in the can. And you know, this might not be the most amazing welds and the absolute best fabrication project that you've ever seen, but like I've been saying, I'm just trying to get some practice. You know, I haven't fabricated that much, and I'm learning more and more with every project, but man, I need that new welder in. You know, the breaker was blowing on the welder. I was fighting with that. It's really hard to get a good clean bead with that flux core welder. I know, blame the welder, right? I'm not blaming the welder. I just need a lot more practice, I know. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click the bell so you get all my future videos. And give me a thumbs up because you know it means a lot to me. Thank you guys. We'll see you in the next video.